expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When you want to find out the latest with Messi and Inter Miami, there's only one source soccer fans have counted on for over 20 years. Michelle Kaufman of the Miami Herald. It's time for the EJDconstruction.com InterMiamiCF report. Here's Michelle Kaufman.
Yeah,
hey,
official open and all now, Michelle. Now you got your own billboard. You are official now. How about that?
I am official. That's pretty big. Thank you.
Yeah, and you got the
Thank you.
You got the backdrop there. You got the stadium. I like it. Very good. Very good. I got to say, Michelle, the win against LA was, I don't know how phenomenal is, but it was phenomenal. It was just one of those that, I mean, you're watching the show on Apple, and one guy's, well, they're going to beat them 3-0. They're going to shut down Messi and this and that. And the other guy, well, no, they'll get a goal in, maybe two, but yeah, LA will control this game and all that. And after the first couple of minutes, Miami was the one that kind of controlled everything. I'm impressed at the amount of games that they've played in such a short amount of time, and yet they have found a way to find chemistry, and they have, passed every damn test that you throw at them. And that LA game was just like, wow, what more can you guys do?
I agree. I mean, I think the chemistry is the part that's really impressed me so much, because you've got, yes, some people would think, oh, of course, you bring in Leo Messi, Busquets, and Alba, throw them on the field, and they're going to win. Anyone who really knows sports or has covered sports for a long time knows that that's not true. There are a lot of things involved. There's coaching, there's team chemistry, there's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of egos. There could be a situation where you bring in these 3 stars and other guys who have been there all along feel resentful that they're not getting any attention anymore, that they're maybe not getting playing time in minutes that they were getting before. This locker room, as far as I can see, and as far as everyone tells me and what I can see with my own eyes and ears, is that this locker room is really tight, the chemistry that they have, these 3 stars, Leo Messi, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, they have come in here and completely blended in, made the other guys feel like they're equals. They have not waltzed in here like, oh, we're stars and you guys are these little MLS players who don't know what you're doing and we're going to show you. That's not how it is. They have taken on mentorship roles with the younger players, but it's much more in a sense of, they really are, they care about these guys, and they care about winning in this league, which is, a lot of people thought that when players like this come over, sometimes they're just here for vacation. They're here to ride out the rest of their career and just pick up a paycheck. These 3 in particular have shown, first of all, incredible humility. All 3 of them have shown in different ways and forms incredible humility, considering everything that they've won in their careers, considering their resumes, to come in here into MLS, playing with players who are making $80,000, $90,000, to come in and treat those guys like equals, while at the same time teaching them. And everyone to a man. I spoke to Victor Ulloa today. I'm doing a profile on him, and he's the only one, by the way, he's the only player on Inter Miami who played on the first game, the very first inaugural game in March of 2020, and also played in this game this past weekend. He's the only player who was there at the beginning and is still there playing on the field. Robbie Robinson was on the roster for both games, but he didn't play. He didn't roster this game, and Drake Callender didn't roster in the first game. They're the only 3 that are left, period, from the beginning. But, Victor talked about how these guys have come in and just completely integrated and just acted like they're another guy. And that when Messi in particular first came, the existing players were all kind of nervous about what is it going to be like now? How are things going to change when we've got the GOAT, the best player of all time, the best player, at least in this generation? It's all debatable, but, to have him come in, what's it going to be like? What's it going to do to their locker room? What's it going to do to their team chemistry? If anything, it has strengthened it. This team is so strong in the locker room, and you can see the chemistry when anybody scores. Messi is the first one. I put it in my story the other day. The first guy to jump into the arms of Farias, the first guy to jump into Kremaski's arm, whoever's scoring, not
Yeah.
just buddies that he brought over from Barcelona. Whoever is scoring, he is leaping way high into the air to celebrate with these guys. And it really is incredible the chemistry on the field and off the field that this team has put together in a very, very short period of time. You're talking about Messi arrived here and started playing in the second week of July. So we're not even 2 months in. We're talking about 6 weeks together. And in 6 weeks, what they've done, they've gone unbeaten in 11 games in a row. And prior to his arrival, they had not won in 11 games in a row. They were winless for 11 in a row. And now they haven't lost in 11 in a row. So talk about a complete, absolute complete turnaround. It's really been unbelievable to watch.
I wonder how much the front office and ownership has to do with some of this. And let me explain. Because knowing what I know sometimes about some of the things that have gone on the inside, and you might know about this also in the first couple of years, and this example you're just showing right now is perfect. First of all, when anybody buys a new business or starts a new business, they're going to make all kinds of mistakes. That's just part of the thing. And when the Moss brothers started this, they made all kinds of mistakes, some that even got them fined and everything, right? One of the mistakes they made was they started building a team before they had a coach, right? And then once they got the coach, once GQ got here, he then wanted to rearrange stuff and he couldn't work with some guys, this, that. The next time around, they waited till they had Tata in place. And notice how then everything happened because they waited till they had their coach and then the coach helped them. Okay. So now you just told me about chemistry and how everybody's embracing everything. From what I remember the first couple of years, it was cliques on that team. And there was specifically an Argentine clique because that first year there was like 7 Argentine players and they were their own clique. And then there were other players that were separate and it was just, there wasn't any kind of chemistry. So I wonder if the Moss brothers, one, learned from their first mistakes of how to build a team, wait till you have a coach. And I wonder if they also noticed all that because I remember they kind of embraced that Argentine clique that was in there and all that. And so there wasn't that chemistry. And that's why that team was so difficult to manage. So I wonder if that's one of the things that was just kind of talked about because that's another change from the first couple of years. No more clicks. There's actually like a real team.
Yeah, I think I do agree. There were a lot of clicks at the beginning, and I will give Phil Neville some credit here, and DeAndre Yedlin and Drake Callender. Starting last year, those clicks started to break up. First of all, they got rid of some of the Argentine players that were in those clicks, who were great players, by the way. There were very good players, and but they broke that click up a little bit, but they still had, Gonzalo Higuain was still here, but he didn't have all of his buddies around him, and he had to sort of blend in with the other players on the team. And that started last year. Last year, the team started to have better chemistry than it had before that.
Right.
First 2 years, there were a lot of clicks, there were a lot of problems, there were egos and things going on. Last year, I think the team did start to come together a lot more. Nico Figal was a great, great player. LGP was a great player, but there was an Argentine clique there, and there were very strong personalities. They had very, very strong personalities, those guys. And I think there was some headbutting going on with coaches, with players, with, whatever. Pizarro wasn't getting along, with the Argentine guys and whatever. So there were some things that were already done last season. And you saw how Gonzalo Higuain's total career with Inter Miami turned around when he was kind of left on his own there, and he had to get to know some of these other teammates that he maybe had not even spoken to very much from the time he got there, because he had his own buddies there that he was hanging out with. He had to blend in with the other players, and once he did, that team at the end of last season, when he was scoring and they were a together team, and they started doing the fashion shows. I don't know if you remember. They started doing DeAndre Yedlin and Victor Ulloa, asked as the kind of co-captains. They asked Phil if it would be okay, instead of coming in their team gear, if they could kind of show off their fashion sense the way the NBA players do. And they said, yeah, Phil Neville said yes. And so that all started. They started to have some fun together. They were showing up at the games with a pink carpet and having like that sort of, pre-game fashion show runway kind of thing, which sort of brought them together as a team. It sounds silly, but it did. I did a whole story about it and posted some of the pictures of those guys with their fashion stuff. And it really did. Something like that did really bring them together as a team. And that started to build. And now this new group that has come in, Tata and the new players that have come in, the big three, Messi, Busquets, and Alba, the three of them are so incredibly humble, so humble. Everyone to a man talks about their humility, how they came in and just made everybody feel comfortable right away. And Tata, you have to give him credit too. Tata came in and, he's been able to manage these world superstars, global superstars, with young players who are playing for Weston FC, and play guys from Little Havana and Pembroke Pines and Key Biscayne are now playing with some of the best players of their generation on the same team. You need a coach, a manager who knows who can do that, who can blend those together, and then brought in these three young guys, the under 22s, that don't talked about as much. But in the last 3 weeks, they've brought in Facundo Farias, Thomas Aviles, and Gomez, Diego Gomez. All three of those guys right away in the last 3 weeks. They really literally just got here. They have all played significant roles already on this team, and with more to come. So I think that there are many factors. I do think that the gelling of the team started before Tata came. I think Tata has built on that with the arrival of these new stars, and with their personalities being what they are, they've been able to build on that team culture that they already had. Because even when Busquets got here and Alba, one of the things they all talk about is the team chemistry that this team had even before they got here, that they noticed it. And even when the team was losing and going through losing stretches, they were still a kind of a tight-knit group. And so I think that started last season by breaking up some of those cliques, and I think that continues and has been built upon this summer for sure.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with that. It's good to see them, learn from their mistakes and then, build off of that. And again, that win against LAFC was absolutely amazing. All right, so reading your article in the Miami Herald, you note how many players are going to be missing. So it's 7 players for this coming game with Kansas City, because they still keep the 2 American players. They will
No, not the two Americans. Nope. 8 players are going to be missing. The only one who was called up who is staying to play this game is Drake Callender, which is a big one. But no, Kramaski is gone. Kramaski went to camp. Drake Callender is going to play. He's staying, and he's only going to play the second game against Oman for United States. They chose, whatever arrangement was made. Drake Callender is staying and will play this Saturday, which a lot of people didn't realize. Most reporters didn't realize. We all just thought all these guys are called up, they're all going to be gone. Drake is going to play on Saturday, and then he's going to go join the U.S. national team. That is huge. I mean, because if he wasn't playing, and this is nothing against CJ Dos Santos, I'm sure he's a very good keeper, but he has no experience. And to put him in starting a game with so many missing players, and they need the 3 points. They really, really, really need 3 points, as many as they can get. And this game is a home game that is winnable, even with the players missing, because yes, there are key players missing. Messi being number one, of course, the best player, the GOAT, is going to be missing, and he cannot be replaced. Nobody's going to waltz in there and become Lionel Messi all of a sudden overnight. But, they're also going to be missing Kramaski. They're going to be missing Kristoff. They're going to be missing Robert Taylor. They're missing Joseph Martinez. But if you look at who is still here for Saturday's game, Great Calendar will be here. Leo Campana will be here. In the back, you still have Jordi Alba. You still have DeAndre Yedlin. He was not called up for the U.S. national team. So DeAndre Yedlin is here. Alba's here. Thomas Aviles is here. Sergio Busquets is here. Another really key player. Campana can play up front, let's say, with Farias. So you still have a lot, and Kamal Miller. So in the back, your back is still huge. Your back is still Drake Callender, and then Jordi Alba, Kamal Miller, Aviles, Yedlin. Those are all still here. Noah Allen has come in and, he has some experience. And then you've got, Sergio Busquets. By the way, talking about Kamal Miller, I don't know if I mentioned last time, he is so smart and he's not only such a good player, he's also become kind of a go-to guy for quotes afterward. He is just a really thoughtful he's a guy who can bring perspective after every game. You can ask him anything in a press conference setting, in a one-on-one setting. He's really probably the best interview on the whole team, Kamal Miller. And lucky for them, he is on the Canadian national team, but they don't have any games in this particular window. So they are lucky that they get to keep Kamal Miller this week, and Alba, and Busquets, and Yedlin, and Aviles, and Drake Callender, who's going to play and then go to the U.S. national team. Those are really key factors.
So we lose Calendar for one game?
Huh?
So we only lose Calendar for one game, and we lose the other guys for two?
You won't lose Calendar for any games, because by the time they play again, those games will be over. They're playing, the U.S. national team plays on the 12th, and the next Inter-Miami game is on the 16th.
Oh, so he'll be back for that game too. Oh, wow, that is awesome. So he doesn't miss anything.
No, and Messi too. So Messi's only missing. It's just the one game. It's just the one game.
Oh,
for this
it's only
window.
One game.
There's another window
for this one.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so that's what I mean. So then there's another window at the end of this month where we lose. So how about for the U.S.
There's another window in October. There's another window in October.
Okay, so it's not the U.S. Open Cup. All right.
But for these games coming up, this Kansas City game is the game where they're losing everybody. Then there's a whole week. At the end of that week, those national team games will be done, and those guys are all expected to be back for the game of the 16th. And then, the U.S. Open Cup is not till September 27th. The next FIFA window is not till mid-October.
Okay. All right. Well, that might be. They actually could be already in the playoff mix if they're taking care of business from now till then. At the pace they're at right now, because I didn't expect them to be 8 points behind with 9 games left already at this, because they've gotten points in every match, which, I think weren't we looking at it like they needed to, like, maybe they can lose like 3 games and win 8 or something crazy like we were thinking of at the beginning, right? Something like that.
Right. Yeah, they still need to win a lot, because if you do the math, there are 9 games left, okay? They have 25 points. If you look back, which I did in my story, the last 3 years, the ninth place finisher had an average of 43.3 points in the last 3 seasons. So let's say you had, last year, the ninth place team had 42 points. Let's say 42, 43 points is what you generally need. Of course, it can change, but in the last 3 years, if we use that as a benchmark, in the last 2 or 3 years, you needed to have 42, 43 points in order to get ninth place. By the way, ninth place only gets you into the playoff game. The 8th and 9th, the play-in game. The 8th and 9th place teams are playing in a play-in game to get into the final 8 to be in the playoffs. But anyway, to get to ninth place,
their entire season
in the last few years,
their entire season is a 42. Game.
You needed 42 or 43 points. They have 25. So if you do the math, they need 18 points over the last 9 games. They need 18 points over 9 games to reach 42. And that means an average of 2 or 2+ points per game. If they tie the rest of their games or lose, don't get points, they have to get an average of 2 minimum points per game for the next 9 games in order to be in the neighborhood of where the 9th place team has been in the last few years. So it is still an uphill climb. And can they keep this going? I mean, we're talking about 11 games in a row they haven't lost. Can they win
Well,
9 more? I
well,
mean,
that's why
I don't know.
I was saying we were thinking 8-3 with 3 losses. These guys aren't
Right.
losing; they're actually
They're not
tying it.
losing.
So they're actually doing better than what we expected, because at least the games that you're not losing, you're actually at least tying. You're picking up a point. That is enormous, man. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
they got 7. Last week they had a chance for 9 points. They had 3 games. They had a chance for 9 points. They got 7. They got 7 points. And they beat LA at LA, the defending champions. They beat them on the road with
yep.
the Prince watching, and with Owen Wilson, and with Jason Sudeikis, all the stars, and Selena Gomez, you name it.
Wait a
You know,
minute.
LeBron and Dwayne Wade and everybody.
Wait. I got to correct people out there. I'm going to have to correct you. He's really not a prince. When he's across the pond, he's Meghan
Okay.
Markle's husband. Okay. All right. Only one prince counts in this country, and unfortunately, we lost him
Okay.
a couple of years ago in Minnesota. So I just, while Harry's here, he's just Meghan Markle's husband. That's all he is here in the
Okay.
United
Meghan
States. Okay?
Markle's husband was at the game. But anyway, yeah, for that was a huge win for them to go out there. I like
Wow.
that. For them to go out there and win at LA. That's one that I think most people thought that was the one game that they were probably going to lose of the 3 during the week. And they ended up winning that game and tying against Nashville, which parked the bus. And hey, it was ugly, but they did what they had to do, and they got a point, and they got a point. You know, so and then they
And
beat
by the way,
so they
kudos
got
to
7
Nashville.
points.
You know, you and I have followed this from day one. Nashville has been a quality expansion team from the minute they've come in. They've been
Yes, and they came in together with Miami, and they made the playoffs the first year. They have done better than Miami. They were like the stepsister expansion team. We had the 2 expansion teams come in, Miami and Nashville. Oh, Miami's the glamour team, David Beckham, all this stuff. Nashville, you know, is Nashville. What do they know about soccer in Nashville? They just know about honky tonk music or whatever. And let me tell you, Nashville, from day one, they've had an identity. They have a coach, Gary Smith, who he has a certain way that he likes to play, and they play that way. And you know, Hani Mukhtar is the MVP of the league. They have had an incredible run in the time that Inter Miami is still trying to find itself.
That's right.
Nashville has been in the playoff picture and has been a force in this league from the beginning. So they've actually they didn't have all the glitz and glamour, but they've done better than Miami. They've done better than Miami over the run of the 4 years.
And they've stopped Messi from scoring a goal. I mean, that in 2 games, that's impressive that Messi has not been able to score a goal on them. And it just kudos to them in that sense. But the whole Messi thing too, because again, we can compare it to the stuff that we were watching the last couple of years. We've talked about it in this conversation, the chemistry, but the confidence is the other thing I want to talk about, because Messi is like, he's like that little kid that gets bullied, and then he goes to his big brother and says, "Hey, they're bullying me," and the big brother comes with him, and all of a sudden the kid's got that inflated chest. And that's what our guys have, that inflated chest, because the big brother Messi is coming. And I think that in a game like this one against Kansas City, knowing what's on the line, knowing what the goal is, and all those kind of things, I almost feel like the spirit of Messi will be there with those guys on Saturday, because it's almost like one of those, you know, unfortunately, remember when Hank Gathers passed away, and then Bo Kimball had to kind of carry his spirit, and his first free throw would be with his left hand in honor of Hank Gathers and all that. And it kind of carried them all the way to the Elite Eight. And nobody thought that without Hank Gathers could Loyola Marymount make that run. And I kind of think that on Saturday, the confidence that Messi has given them, I'm interested to see what happens when you take the training wheels off and the bike is going without them. Will it stay up? Will it stay straight?
That's going to be really interesting. That's going to be the most interesting part of this game, is to see how will the team do without him? And I agree with you that I think they're hyper motivated to get 3 points because, again, everything we've just talked about, they kind of have to. They have to get 3 points. Excuse me. It's a home game. It's not against one of the top teams. Maybe it could be a trap. Maybe they may, take them lightly. I don't know. But it's a chance to get 3 points at home. And they want to show that they can win without Messi. And they want Messi to see back in Argentina. They don't want to disappoint him. He's carried them on this run. They don't want to then lay an egg while he's in Argentina watching on Apple TV. They don't want to, crap out on him while he's over there watching and just, they would be disappointing him after all that he's done for them. I think they would want to win for him, obviously win for themselves, win for him. The other big question is going to be the fans. This is going to be the cheapest InterMiami ticket so far since July 4th. This will be the cheapest, not cheap, but cheaper than it's been because Messi's not going to be there. Will it be a sellout? Will the fans come out if Messi's not there? They were already coming out in good numbers this year, I want to say, even before Messi arrived. So you would think people will come out. The team's on this big run. You still have all those names that I just mentioned: Sergio Busquets, Alba, Campana, Yedlin. All these guys are still there. So it'll be interesting to just see the vibe of the game. But I can tell you that based on the number of media who were at the practice this morning, when Messi's not there, it was exactly two people. Me and one other reporter were the only people there when there were hundreds for his first practice. And then, dozens for all of the other practices since. There were exactly two people, two of the
OGs. Hey, you see us? Did you tell InterPR, hey, you see us? You see no Messi and we're still here. Tell them that, okay?
Yeah, I did, and I put it on Twitter. I did a video on Twitter, and I said, this is what it looks like at InterMiami training when Messi is not here. And I panned around and I showed one other reporter, me. That's it. We're the only ones who were there. So, yeah, I mean, we were there from the beginning. I've been there from the beginning. I'm covering this team when Messi's here. When Messi's not here, I'm always covering this team. But the fans, it'll be interesting to see. Are the fans going to come out for InterMiami? Because it's a Messi phenomenon. Obviously, Messi is the spectacle. Everyone loves Messi. So now we'll see how many people really love this team. How many people are going to come out and support this team when Messi's not there? We'll find out on Saturday. But this is a game that I think the team is going to be highly, highly motivated because they want to show that they can win without him, And by the way, they got a little taste of it, They got a little taste of it in the game where Messi did not start. And if you recall, Messi and Boosie did not start in New York, and everybody was upset. But the other players, Kamal Miller being one, and a lot of them, but Kamal Miller in the post game that I spoke to him, he said, this was really important for us to take the lead when Messi was sitting on the bench because we showed, because everyone's been talking about how Messi is carrying this team and we wouldn't be winning without Messi. He said, we took the lead without him on the field. And that was very, very important for the confidence of this team. And who knows, because I haven't.
It was New York, right?
It was in New York. New York with a sellout crowd who wanted Messi, and they were chanting, we want Messi, we want Messi. And they didn't get Messi until 30 minutes to go. 60 minutes was without Messi. And they were leading for 60 minutes of that game. They led without Messi, okay?
They outplayed them.
Just put an insurance goal.
They outplayed New York without Messi up until that.
They outplayed New York without Messi on the road. So they have already shown that they can go ahead of a team on the road even without Messi. And I do think, I don't know if Tata was thinking this far ahead or, he wanted Messi and Busquets to have a break and he gave them a 60-minute break. It also psychologically was a great experiment for that team to see how they would do without them, without him, without Messi. And I think Tata now saw, and the players more importantly saw themselves, that they could be in the lead for 60 minutes without Messi on the field against a New York team on the road. So that has to give them confidence coming into the Kansas City game that they were able to take the lead and keep the lead for 60 minutes without the Messiah.
Yeah. And by the way, I saw a lot of pink in LA. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I
There's
thought
pink
that
everywhere.
I know there's pink everywhere, but the LA tickets were expensive. Those people are fanatical. I think that stadium is mostly sold out almost every week, right? If I'm
Yeah,
correct.
well, it's 85. It's the highest of all the MLS teams. 85% are season ticket holders.
Right, exactly.
85%, which means only 15% of the ticket inventory was available for non-season ticket holders, which is the smallest, of all the teams. They have the highest percentage of season ticket holders. So yeah, it's a very loyal fan base to LA. Yeah.
That's why I was impressed that I saw so much pink inside that stadium. I was like, wow, dude, this is pretty freaking cool. I expected in a whole bunch of other places, and that's part of the Messi mania that's been going on. But my lord, man, that was the impressive part of how they travel now. Last thing, what does Sporting KC bring to the table? What are the issues that Inter's going to have to worry about?
Well, I mean, that's a team that, they're kind of middle of the pack in the West. I honestly think this is a team that, they're also going to be missing a couple players for national team duty. I mean, I
Yeah,
think this is a team, this is a
good.
team that I think this is a team that Miami can beat. I really do. It's the first time, by the way, this is the first time that Miami plays Kansas City. Miami has never played Kansas City in all the years. It's, I
Wow.
believe, the only team, maybe, or definitely one of the only that they have not played. So this will be the first matchup between Kansas City and Miami. Both teams will be missing some players. It's a home game for Miami. I have to watch and read more about their actual playing style and how they
So
will
you're
match
telling
up
me
with
the
this
last
team.
time we played Kansas City, you and I were in a fusion media room and they were the Wizards? Is
Ooh,
that what you're saying?
I think the last time they played, they were the Kansas City Wizards and Preki. Maybe Preki was playing for them or something,
Wow. Holy crap.
right?
That's right. Preki. Although, didn't we get Preki the last year?
We did. Preki ended up on InterMiami. Yes. I mean
Yeah,
on Miami Fusion.
on fusion.
Preki
Yes.
ended up on Miami Fusion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
The last year that they went to the Western Conference Finals. I think
Yeah.
We had Preki in that team. But so
Yeah. So yeah,
really,
It's a Western Conference team. They're
okay.
going to be playing back to back. LAFC, Kansas City. These are both Western Conference teams, so they're not
Right.
teams that are up against them in the standings. An opportunity to get 3 points. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really interesting. I think Kansas City, for their side, is probably thinking, "Hey, we're the only team right now that's going to get Inter Miami without Messi, so this is our chance to break their streak." They're going to be highly motivated too to be
Yeah.
the team that beats Inter Miami, and they don't have the big goat in the middle of the field,
Yeah.
grazing around. So
Yeah.
I think Kansas City will be highly motivated. Um, but I
Busquets
think this is a game that Miami.
I think Busquets' presence is huge in this game because, again, one of our sore spots for the first few years has been our midfield play. We just didn't have enough creative passers in there. At least maintaining that continuity there with Busquets, I think, is absolutely huge for the rest of that team. So at least you'll have the lawyer on the pitch ready to talk to all the officials. If there's a penalty, a fight, a card, whatever, Busquets is there to, lay down the law. And so you have the
Right,
lawyer, but also you have the vision, man. And I think that is huge for this team on Saturday.
right, right. No, I agree. I was just looking. Alan Pulido is their leading scorer. Mexican nationality, but I think he's available. I think he will, he's not I don't think that he's, going to be gone for national team duty. He's had 20 starts, 12 goals, and 3 assists. So he's obviously very good. I believe he scored in the last game. He may have had a brace in the last game, or he had, let me see. I think he actually had a very good game in the last game. Let me look really quickly. They're coming off a win against St. Louis. They're coming off a 2-1 win against St. Louis. Yes, I was correct. Alan Pulido had a brace in that game. He scored both goals against a St. Louis team that's a good team that has 15 wins. So they are coming in with some confidence. They've just beaten a St. Louis team that has 15 wins, and they only have 8 wins. They've just beaten a St. Louis team with 15 wins, and Pulido had both goals in that game. So he is the player that's obviously going to be the focal point of the Miami defense, to try to stop him, because he's really their main goal scoring threat. So it should be interesting. It should be a good game.
Maybe Kamal Miller will have a brace of stopping 2 goals in one game like he did the other day when he stopped somebody from scoring twice in a game, because that guy has just been absolutely awesome.
And
All
then
right,
Drake,
Michelle.
and then Drake Callender had that great save at the beginning, because if that shot goes in and they take the lead, I don't know. The momentum changes. LA came out on fire the first 10 minutes. Miami had to settle in. So that save from Drake early was really, really big. And also Kamal Miller's play really, really big. Both. They both are going to play huge roles this week.
Back and forth, Callender or Busquets, and because he thinks Busquets is the second most important, and I get it, but I don't. I go with Callender. To me, Messi obviously is number one, but to me, Callender's the second most important player.
Absolutely. I think right now, to be honest, Messi and Callender are the two most critical. That's why I'm saying, when I thought they were going to lose Messi and Callender for this game, I thought that would have been an iffy game. The fact that Callender is still there and that they all know that he's in the back, plus the back line that's pretty much intact. The front is what's going to be missing. Up top, you're going to have Leo Campana and then Farias. Then, beyond those two, players who have not had as many minutes. So, and they're going to bring in, by the way, I think they only have 12 players total. So they're going to bring in a bunch of the guys. The bench is going to be all players pretty much from their second team. Most of their bench is going to be players from the second team, from the MLS Next team. So, if anyone gets hurt, if anyone gets whatever in danger with yellow cards, it's going to be there's not going to be a deep bench to go to as there has been. It's going to be, yes, they've got those guys playing who are still here, but beyond that, the bench is going to be very much second team players who have no NMLS experience or very little. So, they're going to have to be really careful to not have to dig too deep into their bench.
All right, Michelle, tell them about the coverage that you provide every single day with the Miami Herald, in print, in a computer, on a podcast. Tell them all.
Yes, well, I am hopefully your go-to source for InterMiami, because I've been around since the Miami Fusion days, covering soccer in South Florida for 26 years. Actually almost 27 years, a long time. And yes, you can find my work in the Miami Herald in print. You can find me online at miamiherald.com. You can find me on Twitter at Kauf Sports, KAUF Sports. And then, yes, there's a weekly podcast called Inside InterMiami, which is through the Miami Herald with Andre Fernandez as my co-host. And we drop that every Thursday. And we talk about a lot of, a lot of stuff that, some of the things I talk about, Big O, some of the things, different things, but it's a weekly show. Watch both shows. And for those of you who want your InterMiami fix, this is definitely the place to go. Go to this report, go to my podcast, go to my Twitter account, and go to the Miami Herald. Subscribe in print, subscribe online. Please subscribe, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get this kind of information. There are people out there, but they were not at practice today. I was there at practice today. I interviewed Victor Ulloa. I interviewed Dixon Arroyo today. I got things that other people don't have. So this is your place to go.
Damn right. And by the way, where can they get a conversation about local soccer with two people that have been covering it for over 20 years? All the different teams, Miami FC, Striker,
Miami FC,
Fusion,
Striker, every incarnation. Yeah, unbelievable. When Romario came and we
Right.
were at Tropical Park and he
Tropical Park.
showed up in a white limo because he wanted to boost he wanted to win some record for goals. So he came there and played for Miami FC for about 10 minutes, scored however many goals he needed, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, exactly. So that's where our conversations, they go deep because we got a lot of history with local soccer.
A lot of history. Me and Bigo, a lot of history between the two of us for sure.
Nobody better than Michelle Kaufman. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Michelle, as always, thank you. Enjoy the soccer this weekend. We will catch up next Wednesday. Appreciate you.
All right, and thanks to EJD Construction for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure that all the listeners appreciate it too. Thank you.
Damn right. Data Broward County. Call our boys at EJD Construction.
You've been listening to the EJDConstruction.com InterMiamiCF report with Michelle Kaufman. For additions, home remodeling, and custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDConstruction.com is the custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.